All right, we didn't fare so well the other night, as you know. Didn't play to the intensity that we needed to. Thought we started the game good, but the turnovers really took the momentum away from us when we're trying to create the momentum, and that was probably the difference in the football game. The fumble and the punt hurt us. Come right back off that, and then the fumble and the sack hurt us, and that kind of took us out of some things, and probably the hit to LeMaster was detrimental at that time, just because we were already out Vereen, and when we lost LeMaster, that kind of took us a part of our offensive package away as well with that hit. So, all in all, it didn't work out. So now we use this week to move forward and go from there. So, any questions?
Any update on LeMaster?
Actually, Brett's going to be okay. He was, he took a nasty hit down there, and a scary hit, and then but he came out. He actually came out of it. Concussion. He did get a concussion, but he actually is coming back quicker than some other concussions that we've had this year.
At this point, you've seen your team out through 5 games. You know why watch what you have. At this point, do you even open up any positions for looking at some new guys at all?
Every time I've had an open date, I've tried to do some things with the personnel, and I'll do the same thing this open date. We will move some people around now that we kind of know where we're at depth-wise, and I think depth has changed drastically since the first game. So now that we know what our depth is, this is the week that we can actually get some guys into positions to learn the position, to get stronger at the position. And you can't do that with 2 practices. You can with a week off. So we'll start that as early as tomorrow and make those decisions as the week progresses.
So this being pretty much a typical bye week for you in terms of schedule, that's really.
Yeah, I'll treat it. I'll try to. We will do things differently because we're in a different situation, and I spent most of the morning scheduling what to do this week. Put a lot of time and thought into it because I think it's a critical week for us. To move this team in the direction we want it to go. So, put a lot of time into it and haven't solidified exactly what days we're going to practice, and because we're going to have to go hard when we practice, but yet we're numbers-wise, depth-wise, we have to be also cognizant of that. So, but we will have to go hard and get some things done to get where we want to be.
Coach, you're 1-4 right now. With this schedule, 7-4, there's still a good chance it gets you into the postseason. Do you stress to your players that they're still playing for that, or do you avoid it?
Good question. I'll have to think that one through a little bit more. I think what the players hear through papers, through media, through all these types of things, there's no question they hear and see and they know. I mean, when you're at UNI, you know how to get to the playoffs. You know the process and the records and that type of stuff. So I think what I need really to stress to them is, focus on the fact that, the only thing we control is getting ready for the next football game. We don't control anything else right now. So, you control what you control and put your energy in that. And then, let's see what happens at the end. It's kind of like going to a football game. We'll check the scoreboard out at the end of the season. Don't start looking at the scoreboard now because it puts energy in the wrong direction.
Say, Mark, you've played 2 Big Ten teams and you've played 2 Valley teams. I'm wondering, how do you think Youngstown and North Dakota State would do if they were playing in the Big Ten, from what you've seen?
Well, there's no question. Wisconsin and Iowa were far more intense football games than the 2 we just played. We've been in some good games, but the Wisconsin and the Iowa game, that level of play was not. There's no comparison. I go back just to our Iowa game alone. That was an intensive football game as I've been at UNI. As far as what's going on at the line of scrimmage, the hits, the collisions, and the play. I go back to the Wisconsin game. I'd say the same thing about that. But I think I said that after the Iowa game. That was a more physical football game. The last 2 games were more like league games, FCS games, where I think the difference in the game was more turnovers, your typical things you say about football games. I don't know if I'm making sense, but just being in those 2 games, I'll tell you this: the Iowa-Wisconsin game, very, very intense, very emotional, very physical. don't know if that answers your question.
Well, not entirely. I was wondering if North Dakota State and Youngstown State and Northern Iowa were playing a full, if you were in the Big Ten Conference, do you think North Dakota State and Youngstown, could they hold their own in that league, or is that
I think if you're, I think that's, you know, that one's hard to measure, but I would say this. After playing two in the same year, I think you can line up and play, you can play one real good one. To play two is, you can get two done. You just don't have the difference in the 20 scholarships is the difference in being able to come back the next week. And that's the biggest difference. I think your frontier players can line up and do some things, but you just don't have the depth, you know, a two deep across the board. And then when you start getting, like I just said, LeMaster, when he fell out this past week, it really changed things because we'd already lost one or two receivers in the mix. So you just don't, those 20 scholarships really solidify the ability to play week in and week out.
After looking back at the hit on LeMaster, maybe I filmed it, was it a good, clean football hit, or did you see it differently after you saw it on film? Or?
It was a very, it was a scary hit when you see it on film. When you see a body go limp on the field after a hit, that would scare anybody, and his did. And, you know, the officials saw it one way, but, you know, they called a penalty on it. So, you know, right now it's all about the safeties of the players, but when you start running crossing routes and things like that, those things are going to start to happen. And then I was asked the other day, you know, why are some of these hits taking place? Because you're seeing them all the time now, or more frequently than we hope to. And I just think these wide open offenses, and where do you see these big hits? Usually on the kickoff team or on these crossing routes in these passing games, because the young men are flying full speed going in opposite directions, and I think that's where the danger zones is. So I think the spread offenses have really created some of this high speed angles that are happening out there, and that's kind of what happened. It was a crossing route underneath, and the young man from North Dakota was going one way, we were going the other. So how the official saw it, you just can't go for the head, and the official thought the North Dakota State guy was going for the football. Anybody else? Geez, that's all you got today? So, but anyway, it's I'll tell you this, it's hey, if you know our program, you never say never about anything. So it'll be the same thing that we'll take that approach going into this week. We will bite our lip and bite down on the mouthpiece and find a way to dig this thing out. But we haven't been in this position, and but there's a story still to be told. So we'll see what happens now.
Is Carlos Sanderson okay? I think he kind of got banged up on that last kick return.
Yeah, he got banged up. He's probably as much frustrated as anything because he's a senior. So, you know, the seniors, that frustration at the senior level is a little bit different maybe than other levels, because, you know, they've won 3 of the last 4 in this league. So, but and they know this better than as well as anybody in this room, what we need to do and what we expect of you and I, and what we want to do. So, you know, now we just have to find a way to get to where we need to be, and that's day by day.
Coach, who was wearing number 42? You can't get Gary in the dome very good to listen.
Number 42 was actually Colin Albrecht.
That's what I was thinking. They had a sack on Brock on the one play there on the quarterback.
Yeah. We wanted to get him in an eligible number, so we changed his number. So.
I didn't think that was a freshman tight end.
No,
Coming off the defensive end.
No, through injuries and through some other things, we had to get an eligible number on him if something else would happen. We're trying to plan for a game because things happen during a game that we got replacements ready to roll, and so we had to get him an eligible number if an injury would occur somewhere else. It didn't happen, so he played defensive end the whole time.
As far as the players, this is with the 1-4 start. This is kind of where senior leadership maybe has to step up. You feel good about the guys you've got in that role as far as players?
You know, this is where kind of the UNI leadership needs to step up. I mean, that's if you remember what I said back at this media thing a long time ago, is you don't leave this team hanging. And you know, this could have been a result from the get-go if you looked at the schedule, and you'd hope that you were going to get, you know, one or two of them knocked out that we just got done playing. But that's kind of what I meant is And that's where the whole UNI leadership starts to take place. You gotta, it's not just about the seniors doing this thing. I think the whole Panther group of people, you know, we bit this thing off, and now we gotta finalize it and finish it. And that's, there's no excuses. Don't look for excuses. Look for ways to get it done now. Okay? All right, thanks.